welcome to chapter 18 of my Mazda RX323 resto videos. In this video, I finish off the fuel systems and that's all been buttoned up and all done. And I get the drive shaft shortened and I start on all the electrics. This being chapter 18, I might call it chapter 18.5 because the electrics is going to go for a while. So I hope you enjoy it. So I've put the tail shaft back in, as you can see. It looks a little bit different to how it was last time. And that's because I've had 34mm taken out of the tail shaft, so it's been cut here and just shortened just so it fits. Now, I'm not saying that when you do a 13B into a 323 that's always going to be 34mm difference. You just got to measure it. So I put it up here. I put it up here and then it was overhanging by over there, so I just measured it and then took it down to a tail shaft level. I thought about cutting it and welding it myself. I thought no, because I want to get it balanced and make sure it's right. It's the original tail shaft in the car, and that's the original diff, which I reckon is probably going to go ping as soon as we put all the power of the 13B through it. So that's in now. So the fuel system's all done. I just buttoned up a few things. I put 12 volts to the pump and just primed it. Just put 20 or 30 litres in the tank. Just primed it just to see if there was any leaks. The only leak I had was just here, but that's because it's not tightened up properly. So that's the only small leak that I've got, and you can see it's just a small drip just there. But the rest of the system is perfect. So first go, everything, not one leak from any of these fittings, so it's a credit to these fittings. They're absolutely amazing. So I'll just nip up that, tighten up properly. I've only just done a finger tight just to get it all fitted, so it's only just that little drip there. It actually didn't run out or anything. So yeah, the fuel system's done. So you'll see just here, there's the pressure from the fuel system. It's only going up to 1 bar yet, so I'll nut that through that just shortly. So one of the other things I did, I just put the front back together because I've mounted all the radiator up now, so that's all really good. And you can just see down there the oil cooler. It does sit pretty low, but I'm not sure whether you can see there's two tow hooks, one there and one there. The actual line across there is above that, so I shouldn't bottom out and tear off my oil cooler. So that sits nicely. So here's my beautiful little 323. The bug eye front's back on. It looks beautiful as ever. Okay, now we've got the fuel systems nutted out, it's time to start on the wiring. So just a few things you need to be aware of before you start. Firstly, you need to have a little bit of a basic understanding of electronics. So electricity is just like water, the way it flows, and if you think of it like that, if you have electricity with a lot of diameter, that's equivalent to the volts, and the pressure it goes through that hole is the amps. So that's why when you touch an ignition lead, it has a lot of volts but not many amps. It'll hurt but won't do much else to you. So it's the amps is what's dangerous. So that goes with the wire as well. So the different wire that you have is how much current can flow through those wires. So that's what you need to be aware of. So stuff like battery cables draw a lot of current to the starter motor, so big thick cable. Even wires to the fuel pump, which will draw a lot of power, a bit thicker than your average wire as well. So a couple of things you'll need before you start to do any wiring on a car. First of all, you need to have something like this, which has, so this is the fuel injection system, the wiring diagram for the fuel injection system. You need that. So it's got the, first of all, the coil side of things, and then the fuel injection side of things there. So first thing you need, because you need to know what wire goes where. They're all coloured, so it's pretty simple. The next thing you need is you need to know the wiring for the car. So which wire comes out where. In the back of this beautiful old book that I just got off eBay for only a few bucks, Wiring diagram. Okay, so next thing you'll need a multimeter. Generally a half decent one, not like this Dick Smith one, but it does the job. Side cutters, an old pair of major set of side cutters. Good pair of wire strippers as well, always comes in handy. A good test light for testing power and stuff like that. A good soldering iron. This is a shit one, but it'll do the job. And other things you need is stuff like clips and clamps, and this stuff which is heat shrink, is to protect the wiring. So that's about all you basically need. So it's pretty easy with electrical system. It's just a positive and an earth and the power that runs through it, and usually something in between it that gets powered with that. So I've just started putting the wiring that back in. So as you can see here, I've just mounted up the wiring and just taped up the wiring so it's all nicely done. And that just runs through down to here underneath the battery tray. I've put on the fan and bolted that up. That's just the plug for the fan. It's just sitting there ready to go. So the main thing I've got to do now is just focus on more on all the wiring. Now the fuel system's all done and that all works properly. And just keep playing with the wiring. Okay, as this car was auto, there's two things the auto does. One, it stops it from starting in drive and reverse, and also it provides reverse light switch. So I've had to tap into two of those wires here, which is these ones just here. So this is the plug here. So there was a plug that went down to the auto with 4 wires on it. 2 were for the reverse and 2 were for an inhibitor to block it out of, stop it from starting from drive or reverse. So I've tapped into those 2 wires and I've ran 2 new wires. So these 2 here are now the reverse switch. So that goes down, right down here, and then down to the gearbox. So it's basically the same principle on the gearbox. There's just a switch in there, 2-pin things, and when you put it in reverse, it creates a connection, and with the reverse lights on. So that's all hooked up now. So these wires I've got here, so you can see I've stripped the harness, the engine harness, coolant temp, and these ones are the alternator wires. So they just got to go over the other side. So I'll have to shorten them because they're way too long now. Because the alternator used to be down on this side of the engine. So, but the thing I want to do now, I just want to lay in the injection harness just to see where that lies and how that goes. So that's the next bit. So I've laid out my wiring harness now for just for the injectors and all the other wires which go up along here. So that's the main plug to the ECU. But I've just plugged in the injector wires, so it's a bit hard to see, but down under here there's 4 injectors down the bottom. You've got your primary and your secondary ones. So the primary ones are on the inside, just going through this side, and the secondary go on this side and on that side. So I've just wired those ones up and just plugged those in just to see how they go. So I'm going to try and wrap all the harness just into one, so I have one harness. So I'm just going to lay it all out, and so you can see I've got my coils mounted down there, and the only other wire really I need is off my all precious sender and the ignition wires. So, and they run really close down to the back of the alternator, which is down here, and I want those wires. So I want all these wires just to run into one. So it's about time I start laying those out now. That'll do for this episode. Still a lot more wiring to do, so I won't bore you to death with it. But I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and any feedback is appreciated. I've had some good feedback recently, just helping me along the line, so keep it coming, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.